afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining us for another Off the Lips. Today we've got one of our members, Carolien. She's going to be speaking about her master's research. We're very, very excited to have her and very grateful that you came to support her today. She is going to do a wonderful talk. Thank you very much. Give her a hand.
There's a lot of similarities to Mornay's talk last week. It's about education, context, and Mornay set the bar very high because he made Amber cry. I'm going to try to do the same thing. Let's see if I succeed. If you haven't yet, please scan my QR code. There are 2 questions on there. The first one is about your personal experience with mathematics. So if you haven't yet, please take a second to scan it and fill in the question. And then if everyone's done, I'm going to flip to the next question, which will allow you all to hand in a question if you have it during the next 15 to 20 minutes. Because I know, like, sometimes when I'm looking at a presentation, a question pops up and then I forget it. So yeah, you're going to have the opportunity to ask questions throughout. Tired, interested, unhelped. That is so sad, guys. Yeah, so let me switch this. Does anyone still need to scan? Maybe Rose? Go for it. Oh, second, yeah. Take your time. Okay, can I switch? Are we good? Let's see. Oh, wait. I think I gotta, yeah, maybe do this. Oh, I forgot something. I think I have to do, right, I have to switch to the next, yeah. So if you have questions during my talk, please feel free to ask them there so we can have a look after. Yes. So, okay. Well, I'm very much a teacher, so I think I'm going to go straight to teacher mode and ask you all to show your hands if you know the MCO program, so Maths Curriculum Online. No one? Steffi? And do we know what the quintile system is? So the South African quintile system for schooling? 0 hands. Okay, great. I have some explaining to do. And before I forget, when I say technology, I want you to think very broadly. You can think of a PowerPoint or, so the Maths Curriculum Online is going to be the thing in my presentation. So think broadly when I say tech. Then the Maths Curriculum Online is a mathematics program that's being implemented in over 500 schools in the Western Cape. And I was actually at the Green Room working on a study on this program in 2024, and that's where I got the idea for my master's research. So thank you, Green Room. I owe you. And this program, as I said, is being widely implemented. So there's some research going on about it. And why did I tie this to a Quintile 1 school? Because the studies show that more use of MCO equals better grades in the lower quintile schools. And what are the lower quintile schools? No one knows. But the South African quintile system was brought to life right after the apartheid system ended. And it's kind of there to make sure that funding ends up at the right schools, the schools that need it. So quintile 1, 2, and 3 schools generally get more funding. School fees are lower, or parents don't have to pay school fees. And then 4 and 5 schools, they include the private schools and the schools that are very well resourced, so they don't need any funding. Yeah, so that correlation between more use of MCO and better grades in lower quintile schools is super interesting to me. And I wanted to see how does it work underground. So I went to the Stellenbosch winelands, so the winelands surrounding Stellenbosch. There's a lot of Quintile 1 schools there. They usually are in the rural areas. And I went to interview the parents and learners because they're frequently overlooked in educational research. And that's also why I asked you for your personal experience, just to kind of like prime you. Oh, well, firstly because it's funny, and also to just prime you for why I chose to do this research, because there's a huge gap right there. And I think like learners are the most important users of a program like this. So that's why I chose to do this study. Am I forgetting something? No, I don't think so. So yeah, that is the first problem area of my research. The learners and parents are frequently missing from studies. And I read a bunch of studies. I went back 3 decades and I looked at all the studies on digital tools in education, specifically primary schools and for mathematics. And learners are just not there. It's all about the teacher, like how can we make the teacher work better? And you can also see it in the reports on MCO. So there's a questionnaire for learners, and teachers, principals, and the members of the MCO program who are working with it, they're interviewed. So we have a lot of data on them, but not really for the learners because it's just a questionnaire. And then we learn interesting things about parents, but just from teacher observations. And that leads to my second problem, which is that the context is generally unclear. And as I mentioned, there is a correlation between MCO use and better results in lower quintiles, so we know that. But if we read something like this, like teachers report parents asking them how to support their children with MCO at home, then there is no way to trace that quote back to the quintile school where it's being said. So is this something that's being said in a quintile 5 school where resources are easily available, or is it a quintile 1 school? We don't know. And I think this is a very interesting find, that parents are like actively trying to help their kids progress in mathematics. Third issue, which is a big one, is that educational research focuses mostly on results. So it's all about the results. If the results are improving, then we must be doing great. And if we look strictly at results and not at context, then there is the danger of not seeing the pitfalls of implementing tech and just focusing on the potential. So we're just seeing increasing grades, and we think it's also great, but there might be some dangers to it. And it also leads to some mysterious findings. So for example, as you can see below, both South African and German learners that don't have devices at home score lower in mathematics than their counterparts, so those that do have devices at home, while those that own a device and use it frequently for homework show a decrease in results. So they're saying no devices at home is bad for results, but unlimited access to devices is also bad for results. But what is happening in between? Like, we're not seeing that from this research. And we can obviously like imagine that giving kids unlimited access to a device is not a great idea, but why exactly is it not such a good idea? I want to know. And all these things together, the overarching issue is that we don't get any real insights on what technology is doing. So is it actually doing what we want it to do? We don't know, but we are investing in this MTO program that's like costing a lot of money. So I think we should know. And I found many things. So many things that I actually struggled to pick which one I would share with you. So I just chose like one thing per group of stakeholders, starting with the parents. And it's so weird because the parents are not aware of this program at all. Even though they're very engaged, like they want to help their kids in every way possible to improve in maths. Also because there's such a focus on mathematics in general, especially in South Africa. And I interviewed the learners first, and they were all telling me they're working with this program at home. So I was expecting these parents to know, but they didn't know. So this is me speaking to Hazel's father, which is not her actual name. So he says, no, I haven't seen how it works, nothing at all. There was no communication. We weren't sort of like involved as parents. And I guess obviously from our side as well, living our parents' busy lives, you know, you hardly get time to really come and sit at your child's school. So from that point of view, it was never really introduced to us. And as I said, every single one of these parents that I spoke to, they're super motivated to help their kids. So you can imagine that there's some value to involving them from the school or from the MCO program, but they're not aware. And also the WCED has a goal to inform parents on e-learning pathways, and it's clearly not being met here, at least in this small sample size. And then one interesting thing that I found with learners is that they all mention the questions and examples of MCO. So if I ask them, what do you like about the program? I'm expecting them to say, oh, it's on a computer, I love it, it's so fun, it's engaging, but they only care about the content, which is interesting, because then why do we need this technology if they just care about the questions and examples? So for example, what they say is, you can figure it out. I like it when it's hard. You know, when it's something difficult, I like to figure it out. And I purposely added Afrikaans quotes because these kids, they frequently switch between English and Afrikaans. So you can imagine that that also brings challenges to education. Maybe not all of you know, but South Africa has 11 official languages. But English and Afrikaans are mostly used in school. So certain groups of learners are significantly disadvantaged by that. And the teacher is also actively working to bridge that gap. So she offers Afrikaans and English terms for mathematics side by side. So that's like an extra task on her plate to fix that issue. So you see they mentioned de voorbeelden, which are examples. En ik heb mijn problems gesolved met dit. Dus she uses the voorbeelden the examples that MCO provides to fix her problems. I think I have another example. This first quote shows that the teacher is giving us other questions that I don't understand, then I'm using their questions to understand. And stuff like that, it also shows me that this program is really kind of like an additional resource that's helping these kids in the absence of a teacher. So all of that together, it's kind of makes me feel like the content of the program is much more important than its design or the way it's working. You can imagine that that's important in a lower quintile school where resources are maybe of varying quality or scarce. And teachers are maybe a bit overworked because a lot of teachers report being a social worker on top of trying to teach. So yeah, this kind of makes me think, is it really the way this program works that's making the results better in these lower quintile schools? I don't really see it. Then the teacher was also very interesting to talk to. She explicitly told me that her goal for these learners for mathematics is to have them enjoy mathematics and to have them learn deeply and fully understand it. She is a female teacher, and she also really wants to have girls enjoy it more, because it's usually the boys that do it a bit better or enjoy it more than girls. But when I'm speaking to her, she mentions marks 14 times. And I only did 2 interviews with her because she couldn't do the third one because of her workload. So what she says doesn't really align with what I'm seeing in these transcripts. And I never mentioned the marks myself also, because I didn't want it to be about the results, but it was about the results. And as you can see from the second or this quote, I heard a lot of teachers as well. A grade 4 teacher told me this learner is writing poor and he doesn't understand. But when he came down here to the computer room, his marks are improving. So I know the solution for the future is going to be that we use the assessment on the MCO program. And then maybe you're thinking like, okay, well, results are improving, great, but she's basically saying he doesn't understand, and magically in a computer room he does understand. But does he really understand, or is he maybe being trained to test better? Is it something in the program? We still don't really know if his understanding is getting better or if he's gaining conceptual knowledge on mathematics. So that is a bit scary. So does tech improve mathematics in rural schools or Quintile 1 schools? From what I'm seeing now, I don't really have an argument for the design of the program. It looks more to me like it's just having access to a consistent curriculum that's really helping these kids. And also better results on MCO don't necessarily equate to a deeper knowledge of maths. And yeah, how can we relate this to our own lives? I think we all should be thinking about how tech, well, what do we want from tech, and are we actually getting it? Because I'm not seeing it here. I will leave you with that question. Thank you. Thank you so much. And then, yeah, if you have any questions, please ask them or leave them on Menti. I'd love to hear them.
Beautiful. Thank you. Does anyone have any questions off the top of their head that they'd like to ask now, if it hasn't been placed here? Do you have a question? Can I give you the mic?
I'm not sure if it's really a question, but from some of my kids that have studied, say, from iPad or whatever, I don't really see much advantage in doing any studying from, say, a device. And I think from my point of view, there's too many distractions from, say, a phone or a tablet or a laptop or whatever. And I'm also thinking, say, for example, maths. Isn't one of our best study methods to write something out, to hear it, but not just seeing it on a screen? So I'm thinking we're moving a bit backwards by just learning from a tablet or from anything like that, and making our minds lazy. It's like in the old days, using a calculator, which you lose a lot of those skills of subtracting and dividing and whatever.
Yeah.
So it's just not really a question, but I'm not a big fan of studying at all from, say, an online program or something like that.
Yeah, 100% agree. And this teacher is also very motivated. She's constantly pushing these kids to write out their problems.
Yeah.
But so they're also working on a computer and with their book and with their pen and paper.
Yeah.
So actually, you could take this problem out of the program out of the equation, and they still be doing the same work.
Yeah.
But the benefits that I think it has is that it is easily accessible. And I don't know, maybe someone knows the Siavula case.
Yeah.
Have you heard of it?
I've heard of it, but I can't really recall exactly what it contains.
Yeah, so it's such a beautiful example of like how difficult South Africa is, like with these kinds of access, and especially in education. How do I explain this briefly? So there was a science teacher who was at a science fair, and he noticed some kids arriving without shoes and like looking as if they're from a township area. And they came all the way to that science fair to take notes because they knew their own teacher couldn't give them what they needed for the exams. And that was such a clear example of how sometimes the access is not there. And the Siavula project made the curriculum available for free, so they didn't have to pay data and they could access it on their phone. Okay. So in that sense, it could be helpful.
Yeah, I think so. If you struggle with a problem and you have access to the solution, then it's obviously helpful. But to just go to check everything on the screen and just fill in, say, an answer or something like that, I don't think that's really that helpful at the end of the day.
100% agree, yeah.
Thank you. Any other questions? Or I see there are some questions on the board. We're just going to keep it. But we will, Carolien is going to be here in the office. It is raining right now, and I think it might be a little bit difficult to hear, but she is here to answer your questions. I just think I'm going to stop recording.
Yeah.
Just in time. Thank you so much.
Thank you.